Sinisterism is about finding the primal aspects of the left-hand path, primal in history, primal in the psyche, thus obtaining truth. Thomas LeRoy.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome back to your dose of sinister heathenry. But for those new to the channel, I'm Thomas LeRoy, founder of the International Left-Hand Path organization, the Sect of the Horn God. The sect is an educational foundation created to not only make those with the black flame aware of its glow, but to also restore the shadow aspects to the ancient gods by going deep into the past, not only historically, but also psychologically. For the primordial depths of the psyche are limitless. So, if this sounds interesting, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to learn more, join the organization, the Sect of the Horn God, at the link down below. Thank you. The following is from a Left-Hand Path conference that my wife and I participated in a few years back. This is the Q&A section. And one of those answers, I make the point that the left-hand path is the feminine path. Well, just to clarify, that's feminine from the Eastern left-hand path perspective, not necessarily the Western. All right? Hope you enjoy the video.
You might be familiar with the saying that the left-hand path is a shortcut to divinity. It's sort of like, okay, you're in a jungle and you have the pre-established path to follow. Instead, on the left-hand path, you grab a machete and you cut your way through the jungle, leading, and the end result should be divinity.
Instead of just going along.
Yeah, instead of just following the path and then, hopping into the lap of the divine that's sitting on a throne at the end. Instead, you're going to cut your way through the path and you're going to knock them off the throne and you're going to sit your ass on it. That's the left hand path. Yes?
You said that you're female power, but you're not a feminist organization. That's not feminine, or why did you say that?
Well, not in a political sense, let's say.
Okay.
Because we don't get into politics.
Okay.
Because the way I perceive politics, it's sort of like you take in philosophy and you shit out politics. It's the residue. You know what I mean? It's the residue of philosophy. We try to stay philosophical. You know what I mean? We have people in all spectrums of political thought or will.
I hate tags, but I want to know, do you consider yourself theistic or atheistic as an organization, or it's kind of, I know it's been a lot of, within the satanic organizations, been a lot of, it's more sexy now to be one or the other.
Right.
There's a little bit mix of both, and so I'm curious if you have any approach towards that.
The gods exist. They exist 100%, but they exist inside of you as metaphors for aspects of your being. They are brewing down there in the collective unconscious. They are alive. So, what does that mean? You know what I mean? It's like the atheists. Now, I'll admit, early on when I got online and I was making videos, I made, atheistic, centric videos. But I did that to get noticed, and I'll admit it right off the bat. You kind of have to kick the door in and shout, "I'm here," to get noticed. And that was kind of my way. But the truth is, whatever works for you, you know what I mean, in the end. Yes?
So you mentioned about kicking somebody off the throne, and from my studies of left-hand path tantra, the chakra Barton, which is the king that sits at the center of the mandala, the idea is through having worked the kundalini, they become capable of shaping the world in accord with their image. So I'm wondering where the role of power plays in relationship to your notion of self-deification. Because classically in left-hand path Tantra, you're not necessarily merging with divinity, you're becoming divinity.
Exactly.
And you're defining the world from
Exactly.
that place.
Exactly.
So I'm curious where that plays in your work.
You pretty much said it.
All right.
I mean, and what's fascinating too, okay, comparative mythology, which I love. You were talking about, okay, the Kundalini,
Mhm.
you know, working its way up and so on and so forth. It is a snake, and it tries to reach the crown, right? The Abrahamic faiths, okay, the goddess, if you will, that represented that Kundalini was Lilith, if you think about it. Okay? And what we're attempting to do in this sect is bring Lilith back up to that Godhead, no longer a demoness or whatever. We want to return her to what she originally was, in a sense, by using those methods like Kundalini and so on. Yes?
Hi. Well, I think if you're going to do that, or my thinking about that,
Sure.
is that you put the person upside down, like the hanged man on the tree
Mhm.
in the Tarot, and the information and the wisdom is coming from the cunt to the head. You understand?
The Yanni, yeah.
So my understanding of the left-hand path and the right-hand path is that the actual wisdom is in our bodies. Deity is not a metaphor or an archetype. We're interpenetrated by multiple universes. We can train our consciousness to get that information and trust our bodies to enlighten our minds and center a culture from there. And I'm wondering if there's anything in your centralizing of the feminine, as I saw you beautifully do by bringing your wife up. Thank you
Sure.
very much. I've never seen that done,
You're welcome.
and I appreciate it very much.
I had to.
So I wonder if there are any other practices
She'll
in
kick
your
my ass.
personal practice. Is there any other thing in your personal practice that centers the feminine and feminine wisdom in that way?
I like where you're coming from. I do. I do like where you're coming from. We're definitely going to have to think that aspect. But yeah, from the very beginning, we tried that. Like I said, it's this left-hand path, the feminine path, and you get online, and like I said earlier, it's a bunch of guys, a bunch of angry little boys arguing with each other.
And you don't have to convince me. That's why I
Yeah.
don't spend any time there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we created the site. We created group sites for people they can come in, and they're not going to get attacked. At the same time, we're not going to coddle you. You know, we're not going to hold your hand or whatever. And if you're stupid and rude, you're gone. But we will give you a chance. Yes?
We have some, I would say not necessarily a similar issue, but as an extension of this subject, we were experiencing certain complications in the event planning and with the event itself, having women more represented. And we reached out to a lot of women, and only 2 were able to make it. And that was Venus and Mona, and then Shannon, at the tail end, which we were really grateful for. And it was interesting, a lot of people were like, oh, why are more women represented? And it's like, well, they're not representing themselves, they're not showing up.
But look here.
Yeah, well, it totally.
We're doing magic
this was in
outside.
my
We're doing
mind.
sex magic under trees and shit. People like coming in. It's hard to be in here, right? I want to be outside.
Yeah, and it was funny, even with the DJs, like, we have all male DJs and good friends of mine, and they're like wanting women more represented as DJs, and it was just really difficult to get any of them to show up, or we had an explicit, I guess, like the one rule is that everybody that is involved in the production of the event has to also be a practitioner of some variation, that they're also, a magician, where they have a certain spiritual practice that would be considered in alignment, with a lot of these philosophies. So they're a part of it as well. They're living it, and we couldn't find any women that would show up that did both. And they're like, well, just give them a chance. And I'm like, actually, they have to make that, their thing.
Sure.
And that's kind of an explicit rule of like the left-hand path. It's like all you gotta do is like show up and do that, like bring it. But it's not about like. And it was interesting because I kind of got into it with a few of my friends. They were like arguing with me about it. And I was like, no, like they like this isn't about chances in that same sense. Like all they have to do is show up
Yeah, we're trying to, in a sense, wake women up. That, you know, you don't have to just be a Wiccan. You know what I mean? There is more. And there is this path that is built, in a sense, for you. You know, and it is empowering for women.
Yeah.
And you know what? Next time, the next one, Lisa will speak.
I mean, I look, you know, we have many women apply to, more males though, it's just sort of the nature of where we're at right now. But I think it's important to also recognize that we're not going to let anybody into this sect based on what they are. Do you know what I mean? Whether they're male, female, whatever walk of life, it's about merit. What do you got going for you? You know, we're trying to make this a strong thing for anybody who wants to join. A good example of somebody whose application was not accepted was, it's a lengthy application, there's about 30 questions, and some of them are quite personal, although you do have the choice to not answer. We ask about your educational background, and it doesn't matter where you are, you know, if you're in high school, you have to be 18 to join. And we have people in college and university, doctors and lawyers, and, you know, young parents raising new families. But this particular person just said Mensa, right?
No.
And without a high school education, so I don't think he was very young, so he still has to learn that an intellect does not mean knowledge level, a number of Mensa number, right? It's just, yeah. So it's those kinds of things. But you know, people then they I don't know, they sort of go around and leave for about a year from their application once we have said you may not be
What we're looking for.
yeah, right. And then they come back with a brand new outlook, and of course we take them in. So it's not based on a label you give yourself. It's based on who you are, looking at merit of sorts.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.